Most of us have devices in our everyday life now that we're able to collect information and record it, whether it's an iPhone, an Android, a GoPro cam, dashboard cameras, and people are using these to record all kinds of incidents in their lives. With these devices, people are submitting their stories to different news agencies, and I've even seen that called for on news shows. If you have a story, submit it to this link. And a lot of agencies are asking for this material now. The problem with that is, what angle are people coming from when what's their story? What's their reason for collecting this information? What angle are people coming from when what's their story? What's their reason for collecting this information? What is responsible journalism? How do we know what people are showing or representing is true? What's their angle in it? And how did they collect this material? Why did they collect this material? Are they getting paid to turn this in? We don't know anything about who they are, what training they have.
So how do we address this problem? How do we work with our children and youth to have them be more critical of media and, specifically information in the media? So let's look at an international example, the case of the United States Constitution. So Cornell University provides a great overview of the First Amendment. We see that it protects the rights to freedom of religion and freedom of expression from government interference. More specifically, looking at the freedom of expression, it consists of the rights to freedom of speech, press, and assembly. The Supreme Court interprets the extent of the protection afforded by these rights. So the right to freedom of the press guaranteed by the First Amendment is not very different from the right to freedom of speech. It allows an individual to express themselves through publication and dissemination. It is part of the constitutional protection of freedom of expression. It does not afford members of the media any special rights or privileges not afforded to citizens in general. However, in recent years, as suggested by freedomoutpost.com, in a recent article they wrote, Constitution First Amendment Press Association aims to protect citizen journalists. We will stand with you. Governments and politicians are threatening to crush the free flow of information. In the U.S. Congress, Senator Dianne Feinstein is working to amend the First Amendment with the Media Shield Law, as it is argued by Feinstein that she wouldn't support a bill that would define an American disseminating information to the public as a covered journalist protected by the Constitution, because that would mean that anyone in the United States would have a special privilege or be an entity or service that disseminates news and information. So basically, she's questioning the credibility of your average citizen in comparison to a credible journalist, whatever credible means. So according to freedomoutpost.com, Senator Feinstein wants only bona fide mainstream journalists, or those being paid a salary, as reporters would be given the privilege of being protected by the U.S. Constitution. If you are a blogger or someone who disseminates other information, such as via video, blog forums, or other web media, apparently you would not be protected by this Constitution.
Let me explain why I think this amendment is needed. I've had long-standing concerns that the language in the bill as introduced would grant a special privilege to people who really aren't reporters at all, who have no professional qualifications whatsoever. The fundamental issue behind this amendment is, should this privilege apply to anyone, to a 17-year-old who drops out of high school, buys a website for $5, and starts a blog? Or should it apply to journalists, to reporters who have bona fide credentials? This bill is described as a reporter shield bill, so I believe it should be applied to real reporters. The attorney-client privilege applies to attorneys, not any non-legal advisor. The spousal privilege applies to spouses, not to boyfriends and girlfriends.